Private versus public blockchain. I think that anybody who actually delve into blockchain architecture and business use cases realizes that when you want to use the technology, it best fits on an open platform. It actually aligns with some of the financial institutions' trends to move over towards open banking. And allows the federation of services on open platforms. Now, in order to get there, I think that there's a way to go. At least if you're talking about financial services and the way that we understand them and the responsibility that actually comes along with them. So I'm not surprised that we see some initiatives on the private side, but I see them as predominantly case studies and study cases to get closer to the technology, unwrap some of the internal elements, get our eyes and a good set of eyes underneath the hood to understand how that platform works, and then derive out of that business models, architectures, implementations towards broader use cases. So try to imagine that I take your money and I put it out there, and anybody who has access to the internet can actually get into the ledger and see, or at least have access to the information that you have. You're moving uncomfortably at your seats. It's like, hold on, it's my money that you're dealing with. So as long as money makes the world go around, and we all know the song, and I know that this is the case, and it should be the case, and will be the case in the near future, I think that there is a huge responsibility to make sure that when you manage money, regardless where it is in the world, you do it in a responsible way. So protecting it and not holding open platforms without identity management, proper security elements, encryption, anything that you can think around making sure that I know who's doing what and when, and that they have the right level of approval to do what they claim that they need to do, and so on and so forth. The second element is around obviously aligning with regulation. Prove that what was done, prove that when the money came in, it actually came in, and when it went out, it went out. So I'm talking about the basics, obviously. So looking at blockchain as an underlying technology to do that, not sure. I am very sure around the distributed ledger, right? So we have IOTA, we have blockchain as implementations of distributed ledger. And there's a lot of sense in using distributed ledger technology where you want to create trust, right? And in the banking world, banks are trust agents, right? And just to put it in simple words, when you take $1 and you put it at the bank, you trust us that in 10 years, when you come back, you'll have the $1 in there. It's going to be there. $1 and a few cents because of low interest rates right now and whatnot, right? But you're going to have it. We're not going to lose it. And I think that that is the basic thing. You trust us to keep the $1. We trust you that you actually gave us the $1. We take it, we put it, we make sure that it's there. First of all, let's start separating the discussion between blockchain and cryptocurrency. Two very different things, okay? So blockchain is blockchain, cryptocurrency is cryptocurrency. I can talk later about what we're doing actually with blockchain. 2018, our customers will start utilizing the technology without even knowing, but we'll talk about it later. Cryptocurrency, big item. And in that perspective, I say little knowledge is very dangerous, because dealing with currencies has to be something that you stitch up, weave in, and understand, not only in your local jurisdiction, but globally. And by the way, one of the initiatives that cryptocurrency actually brought to bear is the ability to create smart economy environments. Local currencies in cities, in towns, in social groups and so on, and try to elevate some new exciting business models and banking models. It's still in a very initial state. I mean, I don't know a lot of organizations, companies, cities, municipalities that are using that. But when you talk about the currency itself, the reason that you have to actually make sure that you understand the ecosystem is there is a lot of regulation around it. Not only to protect and prove, but also to maintain the legal system, okay? When somebody does something wrong, Let's take an example. We're in Israel, right? A lot of real estate over here, a lot of contractors. You hire a contractor to do some work in your house, right? They take your money and disappear. You submit a claim. You want to put a foreclosure on their account. Make sure that no more fraudulent activities will happen and seize those assets before they run away with your money. If the law, right, the government actually submits that regulation or instruction to the banking system, all accounts for that individual will be frozen immediately, regardless of where the money is, right? If you don't have all those procedures in place, that's it. The money is there. They have the private key. They're gone. You lost your money. The element of trust is not limited to you and the bank. It's between you and me and you and me and you and the bank and your bank and my bank and everybody together. It's not as easy to solve as that. So that's why I'm saying the first thing that we're going to see is the shift between, from using real coins and money into a cashless society. So in the cashless world, you all know that, credit cards, a way of cashless. I'm hoping that each and every one of the people who is in this room and lives in Israel has BIT installed on their devices to do peer-to-peer payments through your mobile device. And then eventually that will evolve into crypto and other methods. So I can't talk to the entire financial industry. I can talk to what we're doing. And for us, it's definitely not a buzz. There is a buzz out there, so let's not fool ourselves. And the question around why people use different tokens, the answer is much less technical than you think. It's because they can, right? Because nobody says right now, listen guys, this is the structure, this is what you need to do, this is what you should not do, and this is how you actually build your ICO. So the lack of governance, the lack of regulation in those areas opens up to a lot of freedom, which is great. I'm all for freedom, right? But also freedom can be abused to manipulate, change, and deceive people as they're putting money into those instruments. From a banking perspective, when we look at blockchain, as I said, we don't use it as a buzz, though, because I have the privilege to run the fintech program for the bank, we meet with hundreds of startups. And every now and then, I see a startup that we met about a year ago, and they have crypto assigned to it, or the word blockchain assigned to it one way or another. And I think this is a great buzz. There's a huge bubble over here where people know that that is a hot topic. If you go 5 years ago, everybody was a cloud company. A little bit further back, everybody was cyber, right? So you knew the buzzwords when you wanted to create some traction and buzz, you knew what to use. For us, in the innovation lab internally, we took all those flavors of blockchain and we put them in and we dissected them and we looked at them and we studied the protocol and we studied the functionality to the point that we understand right now what value it brings. As I said, the focus right now is around trust, right? I know it's being used on crypto, fine, to the side. But trust is a big issue right now. So when we look at it and we decide to implement a capability, it's with the intent to elevate the level of service. There are a lot of elements in the core banking platforms, not specifically with us, all across the globe, also in the United States, Europe, and anywhere, that carry legacy technology with them. You won't believe the amount of COBOL programming that banks carry with them. It's there. But it is what it is, right? So there are incremental changes. And the reason that we're talking about incremental changes and not, hey, let's drop this and build something fresh and new, disassociated with everything, from everything, is because that fiduciary responsibility, we don't operate in a vacuum. True, SWIFT is a veteran technology, though it did have its updates along the years. But that's what allows you right now to move money from country number 1 to country number 2. It costs money, and people are working on alternatives right now. But today, you get that level of certainty that the money will pop up on the other side of the globe. No questions asked. You're going to pay for that, for sure. I know. But there's a level of certainty that that will happen. And if it doesn't happen, you have someone that you can actually turn to and make sure that they move the money that you put. Again, that trust element. Let's start with cryptocurrency. I have a base rule. When my mechanic tells me as he's changing the oil in my car that he just bought Ethereum, Bitcoin, and he's going to buy into an ICO, that tells me that we're in a bubble. Okay? Yeah, that's right. Making a lot of more money, you know, on the side. But yeah, that's definitely a bubble in my view. The second thing I have to say around that is, as I said earlier, little knowledge is very dangerous, right, regarding ICOs. I have a rule, right? If I'm getting into a legally binding agreement, right, I call Adam. I ask his advice. He's a lawyer. He knows that stuff. I don't want to read those hundreds of pages, try to identify where they're nailing me in a subset of a law that actually was amended 35 years ago. He knows that. He keeps me safe. In ICOs, if you are reading the white paper and you don't fully understand every letter over there, I'm just saying there's an issue, there's a challenge, there's a risk, right? And we're all adults and we can make our own decisions, right? So I'm not saying anything pro or con. I'm just saying, you know, IPO versus ICO today, I understand the cry out to distribute access to capital. Cool, right? We know. I think that we're on the path. There is a journey, and I think that we'll eventually get there with alternatives. Crowdfunding is one of them. Right?
Maybe.
Right. But yeah, there's a lot of innovation in that space. I think we're on a journey. We'll get there. I think we're in the first steps, and I think that we still have a way to go.